Welcome, everyone. We are live, and it is Tuesday. Another glorious day. Guess what? We had rain. We had rain last night. I heard this pitter, 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 patter against the kitchen window, and I said, rain? In the middle of winter, you say? But we did. It was warm enough for that. It really, it really is warm enough for that. What is our temperature? Oh, we're -2 degrees Celsius. Oh, that's what we are. -2 degrees. Anywho, now that you know the temperature, the magic in the story that we tell ourselves. You see, now when I say magic, I use it as a descriptive word, as opposed to, how some people say, oh my God, magic, that is so the devil. No, 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 no. Listen, the magic in the story. You see, the stories that we tell ourselves is what we create our experiences with. That's the magic. That power that you use to tell a story. You know the kinds of stories. Whether the story is good, bad, or indifferent is irrelevant. The quote unquote magic happens when you tell the story repeatedly. Because we know how we learn, yes? We learn by repetition. But something beautiful happens when you are moved by the story that you tell. When you are moved by the story that you tell and you feel it and you are convicted by that story that you tell, that is the magic. Why the magic? Magic is another word for law unknown. That's what people call it. Oh my God, that was so magical. No, the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. Why? Because the story that you tell yourself and you have convinced yourself of is what you will experience on the outside. You are projecting it out of you. So every time we reminisce, this is what made Neville Goddard so beautiful. He said, when you tell that story, it moves you. It does. So we live from our memories. But what are memories? What's another word for memory? A neurological pathway. That's what it is. Something you do the same way every time. A habit. So we live by way of those memories. And we reenact them all the time. So the story that you continually tell yourself now becomes a memory. Because think about it. The thing you've experienced in the past, it's set down its impression in your brain, and you follow that. You follow it. You do it. You live by it. It's that memory. So when you begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be, Neville Goddard is saying with that statement, create a new memory. The more you tell the story, you create that memory. And when you create that memory, you will live by it. Day in and day out. It is what we do. So the magic in the story that we tell ourselves. So if your story is to constantly go back to the quote unquote hardship, the quote unquote trauma. And the drama, if you consistently go back to that and dredge that memory every single time. Yeah? What do you think your external experiences will become? Well, the principle of correspondence tells us, as within, so without. So you dredge it up, you project it right outward. And when you project it outward, what happens? Now you find yourself saying, oh my God, why does this keep happening to me? Because you keep telling the same story. That's the magic right there. The same story over and over and over will have the same results. It will have the same results. Let me give you an example of how this is in our everyday lives. Now I make a mean soup. Yes? Oh boy, but I do. Not as fantastic as my mother's. Let me just get that out there right now. Not anywhere near as close to what my mother does. I don't know. She's just phenomenal. Anywho, Noah says, Ma, the soup is still good, but you changed something. He said, you did something to it. He goes, what did you do? So I told him what I did. He goes, ugh. He goes, just stick to what you do, mother. Don't change it. Just stick to what you do and how you do it. I said, point taken, sir. Point taken. Right? That's what he said. Well, it is how we live our lives. We do the same thing the same way every time we get the same result. When you make changes, results change to match what you've done. So it's not that, oh, it just happens psychologically. No, it happens in the kitchen. It happens in the backyard. Wherever you do the same thing the same way every time you drive. Everything. So the magic, meaning the change, is in the story that you tell yourself. This morning, the Lord's Prayer is, if you ever heard Mahalia Jackson sing it, well, I'm sure your life will never be the same. She is just phenomenal is what she is. Mahalia Jackson. But when you say the word, forgive, right? That word does something to us when we hear on the mental, depending upon attitude, frame of mind, mindset that you are in, that word forgiveness will trigger some. Oh, it will. Here's where the magic comes in. When you hear the word forgive, some would say, why should I? You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what they've put me through. You have no idea. How can you tell me to forgive when you don't know them? You see, as I've said to you ad nauseum, forgiveness has nothing to do with someone else. It has everything to do with you, though. When we hold on to the old story, which is the unforgiveness, when you hold on to the old story and you continually tell the old story of how you've been hurt and who hurt you and who did this to you, listen, I have many stories, but we don't live there anymore. Not deliberately. We live somewhere else now deliberately. Forgiveness means tell a new story. I'm going to say that to you again. Forgiveness means telling a new story. Well, what do you mean? You see, when you tell a new story, you form a new memory. You form a new memory. You live by that new memory, thereby changing your life. But what does it do? It releases you. Well, how does it release you? The principle of correspondence. As within, so without. You see, unforgiveness is the decision, not because you're doing it deliberately, but you're doing it habitually. Your habit is to tell the old story. So, telling the old story is, remember, a habit. So you're just compelled to do it because the habit must be fulfilled. And the more you tell the old story, the more you bring about your hurt. Well, obviously, because telling the story causes you to relive that emotional experience. So when you tell the old story and you hold on to the unforgiveness, now you must live it because it is the story that you're telling. And because you're telling the story, you have to act it out. That is what the unforgiveness will do. It keeps us telling the same old story. And when we keep telling the same old story, we have the same old experiences. We have the same complaints, same ailments, because we keep telling the same old story. So to forgive is to tell a new story. And when you tell a new story, you free yourself from what? Repeating the same pattern and experience. That is what you free yourself from. So today, my beautiful friends, here is the magic. Oh, oh, it's magic, huh? Or do you believe in magic? You see, that's because magic, that word, has become distorted. But all it means is the expression, yeah, of what you live. The undercurrent, that hidden from the eye portion. You see, that telling and retelling of the old story keeps you in the loop, in the cycle, in the rhythm, in the pattern of what you are presently experiencing. So remember Neville Goddard. He says, what would you be doing if you were the man or the woman you wanted to become? So to become something, you must do it, obviously. That's what he's saying. So what would you like to become? Tell that story. How do you tell that story? By answering the question, what would I be doing? What would I be doing if I were the man or the woman I wanted to be? How would I walk into any room? How would I drive my car? How would I say hello to someone? How would I answer the phone? How would I respond to that text? You see, we don't do things that are out there and far-fetched, you know. We are living every day. So what would you be doing? What is that thing that you would be doing in your new story? And when he says you keep it short and sweet, there's a reason. Short, sweet, and to the point. Well, I would be doing this thing. Why? Because when the mind likes to latch on to one thing, you know, this is why multitasking divides. We are designed for wholeness, not fractured separation, but wholeness. That includes your attention. So when you hold on to one singular thing that you would be doing, that one singular thing, it denotes the whole experience. Oh, well, that sounds like a fractal. Yes, a piece that shows the entirety. So that one little scene that you would rehearse, the mental attitude of that scene that you would rehearse in your mind's eye would denote your whole life. It would say, because you know how Neville says, oh, well, if you are blissful, you would be in fine health. You would be in fine finances if you were blissful, because you cannot be blissful and be tormented by lack. Those two things do not go together, as within, so without. If it is bliss on the inside, it cannot be lack on the outside. So, what would bliss feel like? Truthfully, it would be a peace, you know. So when he says that one thing, what's that one thing you would be doing? That right there's your new story. That new attitude. Pull a Patti LaBelle. I got a new attitude. Yeah, get that one new attitude. Now, when you get that one new attitude, you begin to feel it because that is what happens. You are now telling the body, this feeling is associated with this mental attitude. Cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. So because you now have that new mental attitude, it is accompanied by this feeling. It corresponds. And when it corresponds, that's how you know, and you can say, I am in alignment. You see, as I've mentioned before, we are never out of alignment because we cannot be out of alignment. As within, so without. As above, so below. So we are always in alignment. You are in alignment with your mental attitude. What is in alignment with your mental attitude? Your thoughts, your words, and your actions are in alignment with your mental attitude. So when you rehearse the particular mental attitude that corresponds with the experience you want to have, and you do it, 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 and you rehearse it, you are creating a new memory, a new mental pathway by which you will walk. So you stop yourself from, oh my God, when is this thing going to happen? Is it going to change? Like, I don't believe in this. This thing doesn't work. How do you think you got where you are? By habitually telling the old story. So today, forgive yourself. Why would you forgive yourself and not the other person? You would forgive yourself because you were keeping yourself walking a particular pathway that you don't want to be on because you're telling the same old story. So forgive yourself for the delay that you have caused in your own life. Can't nobody break my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. Oh no. Only person who can break that stride is you. So forgive yourself for holding yourself back because you were telling the same old story. And when you see that you can do this, do you think you'll look at your life and complain? No. You'll look at yourself and say, oh, I can change. And to the rest of the world, that 180-degree turn looks to be magical. Oh my God, how'd they do that? Are they dancing naked in the moonlight? No, only if I have company, darling. I digress. But you're not doing any, you see, you see, we get caught up in ritual. Ritual is man's way of remembering something so they can do it the same way every time. But if you follow the principle of rhythm, the pattern, the ebb, the flow, it tells you that you will naturally do something the same way every time. You don't need a ritual. The power is not in a ritual. The power is in the knowing that which I say I am, I have to be. That's where the power is, not in a ritual. And you see, people, again, sometimes we use fancy words called incantations and spells. You think a word sitting on the page can do something to you. Now, what you believe that word to be capable of doing is what will happen. Why? As within, so without. Hey, sweet girl. Oh, these are new sounds this morning. I digress. So today, as you go through the world, what mental attitude are you walking in? What story are you reenacting? Well, look at your life. As within, so without, as above, so below. Above? Yes. What is going on above in the brain? It'll happen below in the body. As above, so below. But you realize that what is happening in the brain is happening in the body. You can kick it up a notch. How so? Because now you can go higher on the principle of correspondence. If you can grasp it with brain, body, as within, so without, as above, so below will make more sense. And you begin to grasp what it means. So today, my beautiful friends, whatever that thing is in your life is only a story. Listen to yourself as you tell the story. Listen. And when you begin to listen to yourself, because who who else is listening? Just you. You're the one telling the story. Whether you tell the story internally, meaning you just act it out in your mind's eye, or you're telling it to a good friend. Whether you do it that way or not, you still relive it. And when we relive the old over and over and over again, it becomes like a rut. If you've ever driven in snow and many, many cars pass over that same place, the snow becomes compacted from the pressure of the tires flowing over it all the time, and it sets a groove, a rut. And in the rut now becomes a little bit icy, so that when you're driving, you're sliding in the rut. You're stuck in that. You've got to learn to straddle the rut so you can get out. How do you straddle the rut? Tell a new story. How do you tell the new story? By asking the question, what would I be doing? You see, when you ask the question that way, it is different from, I want more something. I want more of this. I want more of that. You see, that wanting, wanting is its own story. And we don't get what we want. Why do we not get what we want? Because we are seeds. What you plant, you reap. So what are you planting from that place of want? You are planting, I don't have. That's the seed. So if you plant, I don't have, you will reap, I don't have. So in order to get what you want, you must become it. How do you become what you want? How do you become a house? How do you become a car? How do you become a spouse? They have mental attitudes. If you had a new car, what would your new mental attitude be? Listen, let me tell you, I have felt the power of the McLaren. Whew, hallelujah. I have felt the power of the McLaren. And let me tell you, oh, it is beautiful. I have felt the growl of a Mercury Cougar. Oh, that's a whole nother mental attitude. When you get in that bad boy, and I'm just standing on the outside or sitting on the outside of them, and you could feel the vibration of them as the ignition is on, and nothing beats that Mercury Cougar. Like, oh, the way it has that deep-throated growl to it. Whew, it does something. You begin to form a new mental picture, this attitude of, ooh, if I was driving that car, oh, if I were driving that car, my window would be down. Oh, yes, it would be. My shades would be on. And I would look like I was on the French Riviera with my scarf wrapped around my head, you know. Oh, see that mental attitude? The wanting of something, use it to paint the picture of the mental attitude. The dress, the pants, the shoes, the beard. Whatever that thing is, it has a mental attitude attached. That is what one practices, the mental attitude of. And when you practice the mental attitude, you become that mental attitude. And the mental attitude you become now has corresponding experiences. Thereby, you make it look like you're getting what you want. You didn't get what you want. You experienced what you became. That is the difference. Because the principle of correspondence tells us, as within, so without. So if you are wanting inside, you must be wanting outside. But if you become, well, as within, what did you become? Well, then you have to experience what you've just become. So, that is the quote unquote magic. The story that you continually tell yourself brings about your experiences. So when you hear scripture tell you, I put before you life and death, choose life. Choose life. Choose life. How does one choose life? The story that you tell will either give life or take it. How do I mean? When we keep reliving over and over and over again that same old story of the hurt, the trauma, the pain, the rage, when we keep reliving that, you think you have a happy life? Hmm? You're walking around, as they say in Barbados, with your face set up like rain, and you vex all the time. Well, as above, so below. If the mind, your thoughts, your attitude is one of tension, what do you think your body feels like? Huh? You think the body's relaxed when the thoughts are tense? No. So if the body is always in a state of tension, We're constantly dripping. What? Adrenaline, norepinephrine, cortisol. Oh, you thought they were separate? You thought your hormones did something on their own? Your hormones, my dear beautiful friends, respond to the mental mood. Oh, I know you want to doubt me. I don't want you to doubt me or believe me. I want you to go back in your mind's eye. Remember that time when you were really scared? You know those stories of people who lift cars off of somebody? Uh, you think that adrenaline was just coincidence? No, it was not. It was the mental mood at the time. So the body responded. So if you walk around with tension and constantly remembering and telling that story of your quote unquote trauma, hmm, what kind of condition do you think your physical body is in? You don't have to go to the doctor for him to tell you. You already know. Do you know why you know? Because you feel it. So today, the principle of correspondence, as within, so without, as above, so below, is not some random thing you say. That principle governs existence, and your body is part of this existence. So every time you tell that story, your body responds. Why do you think we respond to sweet things in the ear? You have the right person tell you sweet nothings. Hello, the body responds, does it not? Indeed, it does. So, what story then will you tell yourself? Tell the story and move your life from where it presently is to where you want to be. Mm. Anywho, that's what I'll say to you today. That is the magic of the story that we tell ourselves. You see, it doesn't matter what type of story you tell yourself. What you need to know is that the body will respond, your life will respond to the story. That's why you choose the story deliberately. You choose the story knowing that you will experience that story. So, what do you want to experience? Tell that story. And how do you tell that story? By asking a very simple little question. What would I be doing if I were the man or the woman I wanted to be? What would I be doing? In order for you to answer that question, you will begin to feel a mental attitude. Or you will. And when you feel that mental attitude, that is what you want to feel. That mental attitude. How many times a day can you feel that mental attitude? How long can you hold that mental attitude? Because remember, we cannot hold a state or mental attitude indefinitely. Why not? Because the principle of vibration says that everything moves, and to hold something indefinitely, you would have to stop it from moving. So we can't stop it from moving, but what we can do is to make it a habit so that we constantly do it all the time. And when you constantly do that new mental attitude all the time, now you will have that experience. So what is the mental attitude? Well, what do you mean by mental attitude, Angela? How would you walk into a room? Would you walk into that room with your shoulders slouched and looking at the ground and hoping that you could melt into the furniture, blend into the wall? Or would you be lady in red? Would you wear a red dress? Because if you wear that red dress, you know every eye is going to be looking at you. So which one of those are you going to do? Would you walk into the room perhaps not in red, but in periwinkle blue? In indigo? What color? You see, the mental attitude that you would walk into a room with. You don't have to walk into the room in order to feel the mental attitude. Think about that for a moment. When you go into a store and you try on a new pair of shoes, you might not want to buy them, but you want to try them on to see how they make you feel. You put them on and you look at them, you look in the mirror, you turn, you step, you sway, hello, you sashay. Take them off. You can still have the exact attitude without wearing the shoes. See what I'm saying? You don't have to wear the dress to have the attitude. But every time you recall the dress, the attitude emerges again. The mental attitude comes back. That is how you mentally rehearse an attitude. And then you begin to know something. The thing that you rehearse is physically laying itself down inside your brain. It is leaving an impression on your brain. Why? So that you can walk it all the time. So that you can do that behavior all the time. Tying your shoes is an impression on your brain. How did it get there? Well, you could pull a Deborah Cox. How did you get here? It got there because you practiced it. That's how it got there. So today, my beautiful friends, put on those new shoes. At least the mental attitude of those new shoes. You ever wore your favorite pair of underwear? Because nobody knows what you're wearing. Just you. But you wear them and you're like, ooh, you feel so good and your whole attitude changes, but nobody knows why. And that mental attitude, you don't have to wear the underwear, but you can get the mental attitude from just the memory. So every time you recall that old story, that's how you are reliving it. You walk into the room based upon that story you tell yourself all the time. Nobody sees that story. They see the evidence of the story you tell yourself, though. So it's just like if you're going to wear your favorite underwear, that would be the mental attitude. And that is how you practice the mental attitude. The way it makes you feel, but you don't have to buy the new shoes to get the attitude. Just the way they make you feel. And you keep practicing that mental attitude of that confidence. You think you'd ever walk into a room again and not make eye contact with people or shake a firm handshake or speak in public? Because you've practiced the mental attitude of confidence. You went from, I want to be confident. Yes, you want to be, but what does confidence feel like? What does confidence look like? What is the mental attitude of confidence? That is what one rehearses. Anyway, I have prattled on, according to YouTube, for 39 minutes already. So let's just welcome everyone who's here. Check the chat and make sure that I'm not missing anybody. Uh, Casey says, loves my Mercury Cougar. Listen, man, when you turn that ignition, ooh. Mm, 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 mm. Ooh, that Mercury Cougar. Something else. Something else. Mm. Mm. Ray Ray, are you asking political questions? Ray Ray. How does one rise to power, darling? You're still using the principles. You see, we think that politics is somehow exempt from the principles. It is not. All one need do is to convince another of their inferiority. If you can convince someone of their inferiority or convince them of their superiority, they will act accordingly. How so? As within, so without. Superiority has a mental attitude. Inferiority has a mental attitude. So, whatever you are convinced of, meaning what you hold to be true of yourself, then that is how you will act. It is how you will choose which quote unquote political party to vote for. Mm. That's why leaders of a country are always the reflection of the people in the country. Well, how did it get there otherwise? It is either some were apathetic and didn't do anything because they felt like their mental attitude was, well, it doesn't matter what I do, nothing changes anyway. Or on the other side, well, you know what? I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do something because my voice matters. That's their mental attitude. See, we will always make our choices from the mental attitude. Anyway, Joachim is here. Al, the better man, is here. And my sweet KZ, they're here kicking it with us. And I am sure that Melly Mel is here. Kimberly, even Mr. Stafford Jr. might possibly be here. I know, in these YouTube and Facebook streets. Twitter, you know how Twitter is. Twitter is always for the replay gang. Who is with us on Fanbase this morning? Ray Ray is in the house. Big Mike is in the house. Hello, Nikki. It's good to see you. Welcome to the space. And Michael is here. Hi, Michael. Listen, it is so good to see each and every one of you yet again today. I didn't see Miss McQueen. She might be working already. Or quite possibly just resting. You never know. Anywho, that's my girl. Listen, the magic of the story. When we tell our story, it moves us to act. So if you don't want to act the same way you have been acting this whole time, take comfort in this. 1, it is only a habit. 2, you know how to make a habit. Choose the new mental attitude and practice that. Why? Because then it becomes the thing you do the same way every time. A new habit. And you do not give up. You don't throw in the towel because you think things aren't changing. It is only in the beginning that they appear to not be changing. It is only in the beginning they appear to not be changing. But rest assured that they are. How can you be so sure that it is changing? Because every time you practice and you feel what you practice, you are convinced of what you practice. Shoot, you just got to make it easy for yourself. It doesn't matter what you practice, but that you do practice, because what you practice leaves an impression, either emotionally or through repetition. But either way, what you practice will leave an impression in your brain, and that impression in your brain is the thing you will do. If I give you a pair of shoes with laces, and you have been tying laces for over 20 years, you think you'll struggle to tie those laces? No, because you have what? Laid down in your mind's eye, in your brain, how to tie your shoes, because you've practiced. So in the beginning, change seems challenging. It is only challenging at first because There is no mental pathway. But once you lay down the mental pathway, that thing that used to be challenging now becomes what? So easy. Or as Neville Goddard says, that thing now takes on the tones of reality. Which means you can do it with your eyes closed. You can do it like the back of your hand. Muscle memory. That is why one practices without giving up. You'll never give up again. Do you know why? Because now you know that what you practice, you perform. And how you practice it is how you will perform it. Oh my. Anywho, I love you. And I will see you again on the morrow, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Fanbase. Indeed, my beautiful friends. Oh, it's symmetric. Hey, girl. How you doing? You'll have to catch the replay. I love you too, sweetness. I do. I do. Anywho, the magic of the story that you tell yourself day in and day out is that you will live it out. That's I'm using bunny ears, parentheses, if you will, quotations, quote unquote, magic. Not magic the way the world sees it. Eh, that word, the way the world sees it, is just a word for the law unknown. It looks like magic, doesn't it? But it isn't. It is the use of the principle, the deliberate use of the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. So the more you tell the story, the longer you will live that story. So choose the story that you want to tell. Dark God 6. Welcome to the space. Oh, Kimberly, I see you. And I'm just about to do the countdown. So yeah, you'll have to catch the replay. And see, it's not too long. It's only 47 minutes, the replay. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I can hear my chickens purring. They actually purr. It's a sense of contentment for them. Oh, you didn't know that they purr? Well, yeah, now you know. The roo is purring, the rooster, and the hen, she purrs too. Oh, and now she's talking about something. Oh, yes. Anywho, a little bit was singing since like 4 a.m. So I think he's all done sung out for the moment. Oh, my sweet chickens. Anyway, I do have to go feed them and chat with them for a little bit before I leave the house for work. And as always, if you have questions, slide into my DMs. Not because I know anything, but the principles. The principles are all around us. And if you look at the principles, if you observe the principles, you will know exactly how to change your life. Indeed. Indeed. I do appreciate you for being here every day at the crack of dawn, because Lord knows the bed is comfortable and warm at this time of day. Countdown initiated. Ah, Melly Mel, you not late. Listen, I have already called your name. You're not late. You are right on time. You are right on time. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go forth today and examine the story that you tell yourself. Because remember, the story is irrelevant. Why? It doesn't matter what story you tell. Tell the story, though. Tell the story of what you want to experience. Oh, I don't know if you guys heard that. That's a little bit. He does a trill as well. But it is irrelevant what the story is. The story will always be experienced so long as you tell it. So choose the story based upon what you want to experience. And you shall. Not because of magic, but because of principle. And now, allegedly, scientists are beginning to corroborate. Oh, they're beginning to corroborate the existence of the principles? Oh, Lord, have mercy. Oh, well. Better late than never, I suppose. The principles are beautiful. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause, effect, and gender. Not 7, just 1. Just 1. They appear to be just 1. Just told in 7 stages because it makes for easier digestion, greater comprehension. Anywho, let me go. Because you know as well as I do that I will stay here and natter on, and my boss is going to call me talking about, where you at? Girl, where you at? Anywho, I love you. And I will see you on the morrow right here. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, fan base, Eastern Standard Time. Much love to you all.